Hi everybody, and welcome to this month's Partners Hangout on Air series. So my name is Philip Shearer. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland, and I work as a product specialist. My area is Google Shopping, so hopefully everyone tuned in today is really excited and eager to learn a little bit more about shopping. Obviously, the next 4 or 5 months are going to be critical if you have clients on Google Shopping, as we're coming up to a little bit of a key season known as the holiday season. So no matter where you are, you're going to have peaks and troughs. If you're experiencing Cyber Monday in the UK or other areas in your countries, please do check them out because this will totally affect how much traffic you're going to get over the next few months. We do know, though, that your shopping traffic will peak. So with that, I want to take a look at the full spectrum of shopping today. So we'll start off today talking about the shopping landscape, what our key trends and growth drivers are as well. Then we'll talk about data feed optimization. So your online warehouse, make sure it's set up correctly so that everything goes off with success. Next off, we'll talk about AdWords and how we can optimize. We can front load so that we spend a little bit of time setting it up, and after that, we can let it run over the holiday season. Finally, we'll do a quick check-in on the extras, the little additional extras are going beyond those basics, so we can fine-tune your strategy, but also grow that shopping business. So let's kick off with the shopping landscape and see where we're at. There's obviously been a fundamental change in the last 4 or 5 years, and that is we don't go online anymore, we live online. We're totally connected, constantly connected, living in this multi-device world. So much so that we don't talk about connecting anymore, right? Which we used to talk about a few years ago. Now it's all about how can I disconnect? And people go on retreats just to disconnect these days to show just how connected we are. All right, so at all times, at any place, we have our phone, our tablet, even our smartwatch, which we can consult for answers on anything. But of course, there's good news with this. E-commerce sales are growing worldwide at 21% year on year, and in fact, projected to double between 2014 and 2018. So great news for your clients, because obviously if you're tuning in today, you have a client who's on Google Shopping or are looking to bring them onto Google Shopping. So I suppose the pitch to them is that if we set up correctly, we can double our business in the next 3 or 4 years. Obviously, Google has our own product in place to help match these needs of both our users who are looking for products and our advertisers who are trying to sell them. So this is our Google Shopping platform, and if you're not familiar with it, essentially when a user makes a search, we can show that exact product, an image, the price, the title, and bring them directly to that product page. So it's a really, really effective tool for advertisers who are trying to get their product out there. It's totally built around driving action. So shopping was set up wholly centered on conversions. Yes, it does build awareness and influence consideration, but really the pinnacle here is actually selling. So eMarketer in 2014 did a bit of research and found that our shopping ads were converting at a 37% higher rate than non-branded search ads. So where do we go next? Well, we're seeing they're converting incredibly well, and a lot of people are trying to grow more and more in shopping. Centered around that growth is mobile. And I can 100% hand on heart hold up my hand and say, yep, I'm a nomophobe, a person who is scared of being detached from their phone. And I consult with my phone at all times. It's my go-to. It's the thing in my pocket that I'll ask any question at any point in time. And I know I'm not alone because eMarketer polled a number of people and found that in fact 84% of smartphone shoppers use their device while in store to help them shop. And again, I know I'm not alone in this one. 1 in 3 of us have actually used our smartphone to find information rather than asking a store employee. Yeah, I'm guilty. So all in all, with all these additional searches, we're seeing a 115% increase in shopping searches coming from smartphones. That's the latest data we have, and it shows the huge rise, even in the past year, that this momentum isn't slowing down on mobile. Right, so we know everything is growing, everything's moving towards mobile, and the whole e-commerce ecosystem looks like a nice place to be. So let's just take a step back and see how we can take advantage of this. Of course, we have Google Shopping, and it is a great product, but it does take a little bit of time to get things set up. So let's just go back to basics and make sure that we're actually showing in the right auction, showing the right ad, and making that sale. First thing is our data feed. The data feed is, if you're not familiar, like your online warehouse. Like most advertisers will download their website and re-upload that to our Google Merchant Center, which essentially houses your online warehouse. Then at any point in time, you can go onto AdWords and advertise a product that's housed in this Google Merchant Center and pay for advertising that way. So let's take a look. Yep, it can be messy, right? If you're not used to it, it's often interesting to set it up, but it is worth it, right? So if you put a little bit of time into it, you can get these shopping ads, dynamic remarketing, which we'll talk about in a moment, and the results are completely worth it. If you can almost compare it to the investment you would make on a website, you wouldn't just upload products that were missing information. You spend a little bit of time tweaking things and getting them right. It's the same with the Google Merchant Center and the data feed. The more information you give Google, the better your products will perform. It'll be easier for users to filter for you, to search for you, find you, and ultimately make that purchase. So what we see a lot of the time is the client has that product catalog, which is their website. They download it and they just re-upload it straight into our Merchant Center. But this is where we want to just take a step back, because there's a key piece that I think we're missing here, and that's that enrichment opportunity. Filling in the blanks for missing attributes, making sure you've given us not just the minimum we're asking for, but everything possible, and really optimizing and tweaking to get the best performance out of it. So let's kick off with an exercise. This is a sample of a Google Shopping ad that we've seen before. At first sight, it looks pretty good, right? We've got our bicycle, we've got our title, nice little picture, and it says Performance Road Bike, and we have the price, and of course, Acme Bikes. So the reseller is Acme Bikes, and they've written Performance Road Bike, aluminum frame, for easy riding, consistent speed, ideal both for new and intermediate cyclists. So if you know what's wrong, feel free to write a little comment in our Google Plus page and get there before I do. Or if you have any questions at any points during the Hangout, do drop a note. My colleague Kirill is totally happy to take care of any questions now, or I'll jump in after the Hangout and make sure everything got answered for you guys. But our first learning is that this ad looks good, but really it's missing a lot of detail. So let's try and pull this ad apart a little bit and see, can we make it look any better for our users. So we'll start with the most important piece, and that's the title. We've written here Performance Road Bike. Yes, it makes sense, and it probably came from the website, and that's fine. And it'll get approved by our system, but will it be good enough to attract a click from a user? So we always have to ask ourselves, what would someone want to see if they are shopping for a road bike? Right? What would be important to them? What kind of attributes would pull your bike out from the rest and make sure that you have the best click possible, that they know exactly what they're clicking onto? So let's take a look. Maybe if we put in the brand Fuji at the start, so Fuji is the brand of the bicycle, put in the gender, men's, keep road bike, that's fine, but size and color also might be important. So now we've optimized our title a little bit. Let's take a look at the rest. Right? We have brand Acme Bikes. So this is the reseller. So technically it's correct, but it's not the brand of the bicycle, which is the more important thing. So let's put brand Fuji. And of course we have two blanks down here. Yes, we might allow it into the Merchant Center, but it's kind of only getting a passing grade. Give our users more information. Fill in that gender, fill in that size attribute. So though we might only ask for a number of required attributes, we really would push and say, try and fill out every recommended attribute to make sure you show up in more auctions and are easier to be found. So now what have we got? Similar, very similar, but slight differences. Instead, we have Fuji's men's road bike, 46 centimeters, black. Right, a much nicer title, much easier to see, know what you're clicking on, and actually decide if you want to make that click. Okay, once we actually have that feed set up, we upload it to the Merchant Center, and then hopefully we'll see all green, 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 green. So the Merchant Center shows green when 100% of your products are approved. But we do suggest that you go in there regularly and check that it remains green. If you've uploaded products, did they get approved? Did anything get flagged by our policy team? And always, always, always download your errors and click Learn More to see what that might be. What I've done before the Hangout is I actually downloaded the top 3 disapproval reasons that our support team tend to get. And a lot of them are kind of self-service reasons that you could probably implement before time so that you don't have to ring our support team, and it's just a nicer, smoother process for you. The first one is often coming up as around price or availability. That we've flagged an error and pulled down the product because the price or the availability in the feed doesn't match the website. So what we recommend doing there is if you change your prices a lot and the feed doesn't get updated quickly, we would implement automatic item updates. What this is it's schema.org code that can be really, really easily implemented, and means that round about every 30 minutes, we can actually have a look at that website and see has the price changed, and if so, we'll update the shopping ads for you without pulling down that feed. We also see a lot that the product has been automatically disapproved due to a policy violation. So do check out that policy violation, see what it has been flagged for. If you think that's an error or you fixed it, you can actually request a manual review via the Merchant Center Products tab. That's the Products tab on the left-hand side of the Merchant Center. Strangely, our system seems to come in and not be able to find images quite a lot. And obviously, we're not going to display an ad if it doesn't have an image underneath. It just wouldn't look quite right. In fact, it turns out that yes, sometimes there isn't an image on the page. It might be broken or missing. But a lot of the time, it's actually a robot.txt file that's blocking our crawler coming in and just checking that there is an image there. Now that you've got your feed set up, you've got your errors cleared off, it's still not job done. I would suggest strongly planning for promotional events. So if you have holiday season coming up, or if you have any big promos on, plan ahead of time, make those changes well in advance, upload your data feed, and make sure it's all processed, and don't wait to the last minute. The last thing we would want is that there's a 24 or 48-hour delay, or that there's some policy errors or something didn't process in the feed, and we've missed that promotional event. I mentioned implementing these automatic item updates. Really, really important as the sales kick in over the holiday season. And then finally, set your feeds to upload daily if possible. If your stock changes, it'll tell the system it has changed. The ad might come down or go back up, and the user will get a much better experience, and of course your click will be much more qualified. Okay, so we have our feed up. Now it's time to optimize it. So we've got our passing grade, a little bit more so, but we're trying to push this feed a little bit further as things move on. And to show you exactly what I mean about feed optimization and how important it is, I thought I'd start again with an example. So the product on the right here could be called a number of things, right? We could call it a tan boot, a leather, or not leather, even fur boot, beige, ladies. There's lots and lots of descriptive ways to use it, obviously some better than others. What our system will do is it doesn't work on keywords. In fact, it works on finding what you've written in the titles and the descriptions and all of your attributes to decide which auctions and which searches to show in. So if we only give it limited information, we don't give it the full range of attributes, a strong description, or a good title, the system is bound to only show it in those auctions that contain keywords or attributes that show up. So let's look. If we describe this on the website as tan boot, it might make total sense on the website. Right? It might fit in, it might be fine. So if we download that and upload it to our Merchant Center, our title is tan boot and our description is tan boot, we'll start to show up in searches like this. Right? So the first thing is ensuring that you're appearing in that correct auction. Give the system the information it needs to process correctly and make sure you're in that correct auction. So maybe instead of tan boot and showing up alongside the army here, we'll go for something a little bit different. So maybe we change the title to ladies sheepskin tan boot. All we've done is just put a couple of attributes in front, and we've totally changed who we show up beside. We've probably changed the amount of traffic we get, and the qualified clicks have gone way up, right? So essentially, we should be selling more and showing to the right people with one small tweak. So now that you're in the right auction, it's about speaking the user's language. Don't speak like a robot. This is not keyword stuffing. And describing things really, really well so that A, you can attract the user, and B, you're in the best auction that will get you the best return and most impressions. So a good example of that is you've had your feed up and running for a little while, and this product on the left, you know, is a rain boot, a Wellington boot, whatever you want to call it. You kind of know roughly a couple of versions of it, but you're not quite sure if you should call it a spotted boot or a polka dot boot. You're getting into the nitty gritty, the slights that might totally change your performance. There's two things to check with this when deciding, okay, should I optimize for spotted or should I optimize for polka dot? The first is, well, if you're up and running for some time, you will have access to all of the searches that were made for your product. So that's in your AdWords interface within keywords, details, and all. And it's called the search terms report. Essentially, it's a report that shows all of the searches that someone made to access your product. So consult that first, see how many searches were coming through on Spotted, on Polka Dot, and also see if there are any other searches that tend to recur that you hadn't thought about before. Next, go on to google.com/trends. This is our Google Trends tool that will show you the volume of searches for a specific search term over time within your region. Very cool and really customizable. So let's take spotted boots and polka dot boots, and if we plug them into the search terms, we can actually see, okay, slight different trend here in that spotted boots is only getting maybe a third, a quarter of the overall traffic, but if we run with polka dot boots, we could get much, much more of the traffic. So my suggestion here to the advertiser would be, okay, well look, if you're looking to max out, if you know that people will click on polka dots, you've got a much, 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 much higher impression share by using the term polka dots in your title rather than spotted boots. So we're now in the right auction. We've got as much impressions as possible, or as many impressions as possible. Next up, we want to optimize to get the most qualified click. And to do that, we want to give the user as much information as we possibly can. So tell them more about your product to avoid unnecessary clicks. If we look at an example here, we see, well, we could go with indoor running shoes for this product, or we could tell them that they're size 9, so they don't click in if it's the incorrect size. Similarly, we have our outdoor rain jacket, or we could actually just put the color on the end. If it's a very specific color that looks quite close to another color, it avoids people coming in and mixing up their colors. And finally, if you have a really, really well-known brand, instead of maybe adding it to the end like we had in the last two examples, you could add it to the front of your product. If you think this will do well, test it out and continue on, but only for high value or known brands. So I want to apply the 80-20 rule in that 20% of your products probably make 80% of the sales, right? So don't go through every single product. If you've thousands of products, I wouldn't expect anyone to go in and manually research and type all of these product titles and descriptions. Instead, maybe do that for the top best sellers if you have time, but always look for bulk optimization opportunities. So that's investing in some kind of a script that will automatically find and replace keywords or append text before your title or description. So an example here is if we take a title running shorts from our website, we could append running shorts, the color, and the size afterwards to give our user a little bit more information. All right, so now we've done the hard work. It's on to AdWords, back to what we know. So fundamental to your AdWords success is setting up correctly on the Merchant Center. But once you've done that, you have to front load your work one last time and spend a little bit of time setting up your structure clearly within AdWords. So the reason I say front load is it might take a little bit longer to set this up, not hugely, but a little bit longer than text ads. But because there's no keywords necessarily in shopping, it's very automated. In fact, you'll only need to come in and change your bids, your bid modifiers, and some minor tweaks over time because our system is predicting the keywords for you. So first off, we're always asked about, well, should I do one campaign or two campaigns, or how many is the best practice? I suggest kicking off with just one campaign, and that's your catch-all, 100%, targets everything with a capped budget and maybe lower bids. Right? So that's your first campaign. You're just going to target your whole feed, and you're going to use this and run data for a couple of weeks to find, okay, well, are there any good top-selling products, and what do I need to know about what's selling? You're then going to keep this on 24/7. It's your always on, always running, but budget capped. And you're going to start building campaigns on top of it. So that might be one or many campaigns, but these are your golden campaigns. You know if you put a product in them, that product sells. So it should be a maximum of 25% of your inventory going in here, but it should be your best sellers, your high returns, your profit makers essentially. And this might even be budget uncapped. Always running, you always want to be there. It's got a 100% impression share. If a user searches for you, they should be able to find you. You should be in that auction and you shouldn't be dark. Because you know if a user sees your product and clicks on it, these are the products that make your business money. So you'll have one catch-all campaign and maybe a couple of best sellers and high margins, totally depending on the business. Finally, it's an if and a but. If you have seasonal stock you want to get rid of, or some promotional things that you want to fire out, you may make a third layer, and that's an extra campaign that's labeled as a high priority. What this high priority label will enable you to do is to bid nice and low or high, but know that if a product is in this campaign, but also in your medium and low priority campaigns, and a user types in a search, it will come out of the high priority campaign. So only activate that when needed. You can put a budget on it that matches your promotional activity, and you can just target end of season or beginning of season or whatever you need to do. Next up, what we would do is try to structure for ease. Right? So ask yourself, if you're an agency, which of course a lot of you are, how do you want to set up? Do you report to your client on this, or do you report to your client on that? Just make sure that you structure those campaigns around what you're trying to report at the end of the month. So we see three types. The first is that people split things out and bid on product. So that's brand or product ID or category. Or they can bid on performance. And that's, I bid on my high return, low return, high CPA, low CPA. They're totally based on profit. And then we often see a kind of myriad of the two, and that's the hybrid campaign. So I bid according to my brands or my catalog, but also my performance. So let's take a look maybe at the first example, and that's product. And let's look at how someone who totally wants to set up based on product may set up. The example I've given today is they're a sports retailer, they're a massive reseller, and they have thousands of brands, and they could never ever create a campaign for every single brand. It's just not feasible or manageable. So instead what they might do is apply this 80-20 rule. So they find out their top selling brands, which are Nike, Adidas, Puma, and Reebok, and they put them in their own 4 campaigns. These campaigns are probably budget uncapped and always on because they know they make money. And of course they have underneath that the all products set up. So it's a kind of like a safety net, so that, okay, well, if we've missed any of our key brands in here or anything else, we'll just go in here. And they can put any bid on that or any budget on that. Let's take a look at our Nike campaign. What we'll do here is we'll set an inventory filter, which is set in your settings tab in advanced settings underneath shopping, and say only Nike products should come out of this campaign. So that means brand equals Nike in your inventory filter. So we have our Nike campaign, and we've decided we'll go with 4 ad groups: shoes, socks, jackets, t-shirt, all Nike stuff. And then again, our catch-all, just to be sure and be able to see, okay, well, obviously Nike have a lot more than shoes, socks, jackets, and t-shirts, but again, we don't want 100 odd ad groups. just for the sake of it. So we'll pull out our 4 top areas and then have all Nike products in there as well. You may want to stop there and just have the product group shoes within shoes, so only Nike shoes are coming out. Or you may want to optimize further. You could break down by 2 things. You could break down by product again, and that's male shoes, female shoes, etc. Or you could break down by your return on investment, so high and low ROI for shoes. Whatever way you want, that would be the hybrid model, but right now we're looking at that product model. So setting that initial bid, if you have a text campaign, I would use the bids that you see in your text campaign and apply them to your shopping campaign. But if you really want to check, okay, to an exact science, how much am I going to get back? I suggest using this formula. And that's taking your average profit from each sale and dividing it by the number of visitors it takes to make a sale. So say we make $360 profit on our products, we just divide that by the 240 visitors it takes to make a sale, and we get a recommended bid of $1.50. Now this is just your initial bid. You'll obviously want to tweak this over time as you see more and more performance. And to do this, I'd use shopping's best tool, and that's the benchmarks feature. There's no other tool in Google as it stands that has any kind of benchmarking. And what we'll show you is actually, well, here's your click-through rate on your products, how often your users are clicking, versus the benchmark click-through rate. So when your products show up with other products, how do they do? Are they better or are they worse? And it's really good insight, because if you've got good click-through rate, it's 2 thumbs up and keep going and a pat on the back. But if your click-through rate is suffering, you need to take 2 steps back and reassess why. Is it that merchant feed? Is it something else? What might it be? But normally we see that if users aren't clicking, it's probably that you're in the wrong auction or that your titles just aren't good enough for people to click on them. So do take those 2 steps back and understand why your click-through rate might be so low. Ultimately, we will always apply a quality score to our products, and there will be a quality score in shopping. And a lot of that, of course, is based on our click-through rate, because our users are going to tell us how good our products are or how good your products are based on where they click. And with that, the lower and lower your quality score is, the more and more you'll have to pay to rank in that auction. So ideally, we'd like a nice high click-through rate and a nice low maximum CPC. Right? We'll be rewarded for getting clicks, essentially. So you can gauge your max CPC versus your competitors as well. Once you've said, okay, I kind of know where I need to be at with my bidding based on my click-through rates and my competitors, you can use the bid forecasting tool. It's found just beside the bid change, and it's a little icon that will show you exactly what you'll get in terms of clicks, costs, and impressions based on different amounts of max CPC. All right, so beyond the basics. So once you've got everything kind of set up and ready to go, there are a few areas that you can expand your business and tweak your campaigns further. But this is just once you have everything else really, really set up strongly. The first is called product ratings, and you may have seen them appear, definitely if you're in the UK, Germany, or France, because they're the 3 countries we've launched to date. We are showing product ratings. They're these little stars underneath your shopping ad, and they denote, based on user feedback, how good those products are. So they make your product stand out. They obviously drive an increase in click-through rate, and of course they improve conversion rates because users can instantly see if they're getting a good product or not. And recently we announced as well that we're seeing more and more people searching best juicers or best Nike shoes. And what we'll do now is we'll begin to rank based on product ratings who are actually the best of the best. So certainly a good call to have these set up. You can find out more information on product ratings on our support center as well. If you're a merchant who's got a sale going on, definitely worth looking at these over the next few months. So they're called merchant promotions, and again, they're available to the UK, Germany, and France. We hope to roll out more soon as well. But they're a small tagline underneath your shopping that says special offer, and it's clickable by the user. So if they click on that, they'll see exactly what that offer is. It needs to be some kind of a code that can be applied at checkout. It could be a free gift or a discount or something similar. So again, similarly, it'll make your product stand out, improve clicks, but ultimately we want to use these things to increase conversion rates. Give users something else beyond the generic price and titles that everyone else might be running at. Last one for the UK, Germany, and France, I promise. This is Trusted Stores. It's a very new program we set up to help increase confidence in our smaller and medium advertisers. After all, the internet is a kind of faceless area that you might not have heard from a business, but they might have a good price, nice website, and look like they have good service. But how are you to know? Well, you can opt into our Trusted Stores program based on a number of criteria that you need to satisfy. But what we'll do is we'll place a small badge underneath your shopping ads, and also you can place a badge on your website as well to say this is a Google verified and trusted store. So what we should aim to do with this is increase trust, take away that feeling of anxiety or nervousness when buying from an unknown source. For more info on this, you can go to google.com/trusted stores. Available to all, thankfully, is dynamic remarketing. So for those of you who have used remarketing, you'll be familiar with the concept. Essentially, a user will land on your page and we can show a very, very highly related ad to that user if they leave the page and move around the internet. Dynamic remarketing takes it one step further. So you've invested so much in bringing these people to your website, but of course, naturally, we're consulting more and more sources every single year as we're constantly connected. I know myself, I can consult 20, 30 plus sources before making that purchase. So yeah, I've come onto your website, but I will go off and consult otherwise. I might even forget to make that purchase for a couple of hours, a day. So what dynamic remarketing can do is advertise to me as I'm on the internet with that exact product that I've looked at and similar products that I may wish to buy from your website. We're seeing really, really good conversion rates, almost double the conversion rates from regular remarketing, and a reduction in CPA of 60% for people who use dynamic remarketing. Very easy to set up, and there's more information on this on our support center too. We talked a lot about how mobile is powering this growth, and everything I've talked to you today is totally designed around mobile. It's not fair to take it in isolation, but it is worthwhile checking at its performance as well. So there are a few key areas with mobile and with shopping. First, the area is that with shopping, we take you directly to that checkout page, well, the product page is actually. Right, so we're taking you maybe 2 clicks away from the purchase. So yes, it would be great if all of the advertisers optimized their mobile websites and had a seamless experience. But being realistic, if you're going to put a bit of attention to your mobile site, I would optimize that checkout area. Right? Optimize the product page and make sure the user is only a couple of clicks away from making that purchase. But over the next few months, you'll start to see that impressions and searches start to spike on mobile as people are out and about, they're shopping, they're researching. Every October, November, December, we start to see that mobile searches in a lot of countries begin to overtake desktop searches. Again, I'm sure we'll see the same this year with a 110% rise in searches year on year. So with that, it's really important to keep on top of, firstly, your mobile impression share. So that's how often are you showing for the searches that you want to show for. Right? Check in on that every week, set up alerts in the account if you need to, and make sure you're controlling your impression share. Ideally, you want to show 100% of the time. Right? You want to know what are my best products and how can I show for them and optimize my budget. But also keep an eye on your competitors. If you go into the account, choose keywords, details, and auction insights all. That's the auction insights report. You can actually see how your competitors fare on mobile. So you can see who's in the auction with you. You can segment by device. And you can see, well, how seriously are my competitors taking mobile? Who turns up in the mobile auction? How often are they above my ad? How often are we in the auction together? And of course, take out your phone, check their M site. Are they doing anything different to you? Any reason to be alarmed, or do they not have a website? Because that might be a huge opportunity if they don't have an M site and you do. Don't forget about export, right? We've got e-commerce growing exponentially, doubling in 3 to 4 years. And of course, shopping is across 23 countries. So it's quite easy to optimize your feed to show in a different country. Definitely a really good first step to export. knowing that the conversion rates are incredibly high and that we auto optimize for you and that you don't need keywords. So I would say it's a great start to try out export if you haven't done it before. I'm going to leave you on this slide, and that's the next steps. And it's logically in my brain how an advertiser or an agency should build out their shopping presence. I would always start on the feed, and that's the foundational areas. Once we get them right, we can progress. So clear off those errors on your feed, optimize it, add in the automatic item updates that allow you to change your price quite regularly and we won't disapprove the ad. Break out your campaigns, have multiple campaigns. Ensure that you're optimized for bidding based on return on investment, products, or a hybrid of both. But make sure it's easy for you to report at the end of the month. Next, take a look at mobile. Really, really important. I've mentioned that mobile is going to spike over the next 6 months. So your traffic may actually shift from desktop to mobile, or it could be a whole new area you want to expand to. Finally, look at remarketing. All right, look at that dynamic remarketing and how you can engage again with your customer. Once you've got all those boxes ticked, it's time to go to the beyond section that we spoke about. See if you can expand in any way. Can you use product ratings or merchant promotions, or perhaps export to another country? Whatever it may be, I would always start from the left to the right, from foundational to cutting edge, and you'll be assured of success. So I'm going to leave it there. I promised I would look at those comments for you guys afterwards. I know a couple have written into Kira before, so thank you very much. But I will take a look at the comments. Please leave feedback, what you'd like to hear, or any questions or topics I didn't cover, and I can point you guys in the right direction. So thanks for dialing in today, and enjoy the rest of your day.